This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Of course, I'm your host, BMR. And yes, everybody, those tickets are going fast. They're going fast. I know many of you have already gotten tickets for our 2-day event, the 19th and 20th in Missouri, Richmond, Missouri. In fact, one of our speakers is joining me today, Sir Bryan Bowden. You can find Bryan Bowden at Sir Bryan Bowden on YouTube. He's got a fantastic channel. Go check him out. He's on Wednesday nights. I believe it's 8 Central, 9 in the East, perhaps. Or I'll have him confirm that. I know it's 8 or 9. But yeah, go check him out. Had a cool show yesterday with Dirty Filth. You can see him on Space Star Radio. Very fantastic artist. Go check him out. So yeah. Again, we've got an event coming up the 19th and 20th, which I can't wait for. I'm not going to wish the summer away because I love my summer. We get really 3 good months of summer in Michigan, so I'll ease my way through it. So yeah, if you are a first time to this channel, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube, Texas Front Porch, Donnie Cho Says Stuff, Monica Rollins, our Paranormal World, Paranormal Paul, and as I mentioned, Sir Bryan Bowden. Go check him out. Super Chat's open, a great way to help support what we all do around here. Thank you so much for that. You can become a BMR pirate, mateys. Join today. Join the many, join the few, depending on your point of view. You get a picture of me with a bandana in the chat room. Yeah, that's what you get for now. Membership videos. I'm on 4 days a week, you guys. It's almost find the time to do a members only deal, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe at the conference I'll put one out. How about that? Really quickly, last piece of information here. I want to thank everybody who's bought my books found on Amazon. Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1, Book 2. Simply type in Bigfoot Michigan Rob in your Amazon browser. Those that have bought it, please leave a review. It does help promote book sales, much like YouTube. It's all analytics, like buttons, comments on YouTube. Same thing with Amazon. Leave a review if you've bought it. Thank you so much for that. And I'm going to move on and get this show started here. Bring up my buddy, Mr. Bowden. What up, Bryan?
How are you?
Yeah,
not my voice. It's kind of like going and fading. But
well, I appreciate you sitting in. I know you just did an interview with somebody else earlier, and so you're boom, boom, boom. Hopefully, you had a few minutes to.
Everybody's asking, so I'm always, like I said to you before, I'm honored to be asked. I don't like these people that assume that you should have them and whatever. So I always appreciate that. And apparently Donnie Cho wants me on, so I may be on Donnie Cho Says Stuff on Saturday. That could be an interesting show.
Well, Donnie has an interesting show. I love Donnie. I love his show. It's not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not.
And if you have I don't know how to say this, but if you get offended easily, that in mind. That's all I want to say.
Yeah,
I don't want to put words in Donnie's mouth. He does a great job. It's a nice breakup during the week. It's a lot of hijinks and hilarity.
It's fun.
I tell you, Donnie's a sharp guy, and
yeah,
and he knows quite a bit about the paranormal and with the things we talk about. So check out Donnie.
Yeah, Donnie's great. My show's actually 8 p.m. Eastern, by the way, but
Yeah, I thought
it doesn't matter. You can catch the archives on YouTube.
yes, they're free. They're free, everybody.
They're free.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of the archives, you were just on like 3 weeks ago. We did a fantastic show Tuesday night with Krista. We went all over the place as usual, talking a little dog man, Bigfoot, whatever.
yeah.
That's go check that one out. You guys will like that one. It was a lot of fun. Again, it's all
Oh, Krista's great. Krista Brandy's great. Oh, everybody and I call it a network, whether you guys call it or not, but
yeah.
you guys are all great. It's like it's seriously I know that there's always going to be a go-to. Like, I don't watch TV. I watch a lot of videos here and there, YouTube, TikTok, whatever. But when I see you guys come on, I'm like, cool, I'm going to go watch something. And it's interactive. Everybody in the audience, Diane Boss, Jason Fett, Cowboy, all these, everybody that's there. I mean, you've developed a family.
Yeah,
which is great.
It is in a strange way, and I don't mean strange to be negative. I didn't really realize that until after doing this now for several years. It's always great to see a lot of the same people, new people, of course, that end up subscribing, and I'll say this now: a lot of YouTubers, podcasters. I don't want to sound cliche, Brian, and everybody listening, but
right,
the people in the chat room across, as you said, our network. I think Tex Misfit Toys or whatever stole it from Santa Claus, I guess. Yeah. Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? Remember that one? They are great people, but they ask good questions. They're involved, and they're cool with each other in the chat room. And there's no BS on this. But very few trolls, if ever, and they get zapped. So I mean, it's a lot of fun.
I had to make, I made I made a couple of wrenches in there, and it's just, what. Your audience and the people in chat actually helps to make the show bigger than it is, because there's a lot of cool interactions and some side conversation. It's just great, and everybody has a great idea. And they have good questions, and it just works out.
And even what I've really realized too, I'm not one of these people that. Because there's certain guys, believe it or not, men, women that do podcasts or YouTube, they were talking to me about, they get a little irritated sometimes when there's maybe a group of 2 or 3 in chat that are maybe talking about something else, and he thinks they're not paying attention to the show and thinks that's like...
You don't have to...
It don't matter.
It's like, you know what? It's like your bar, right?
Yeah.
So it's like going out to the bar, there's things that you talk about, like on the main subject of whoever's on or whatever you're talking about, Dogman, Bigfoot, whatever it is. But there are friendships that have developed in these chats with people, and they're talking about things. Hey, how's it going? Are you feeling better? And if you're getting pissed off at that, maybe you shouldn't be doing podcasting.
No, I don't. It doesn't bother me when people have a side convo. But you know what? Hey, they're in the chat. They're listening. And a lot of great friendships have been forged.
Exactly.
And you got to remember, this is really social media, right?
100%. And what's great is I'm hoping a lot of the people that I see in your chat in Texas and Blondes and Booze and so on and so forth, I hope they come to the conference, because I'd like to put a face with a name,
That's so great that you bring that up, because I love the conferences, because you meet people that you've known via the internet.
Yep.
And you think they're cool. This perfect example, Mongolian Monster, who's got a great channel, by the way. Go check out Moggs on YouTube.
Cool.
He, I've known him for a long time, way back in the day when I didn't even have a channel. I found him. I don't know, Spaced Out Radio or maybe some other, I forget.
Right.
And last year, I think it was, I met him for the first time, him and Stevie B. What the hell was the conference? I think it was Alabama.
Stevie B?
Yeah, she's his co-host on his show.
And, I thought you meant Stevie B from the 80s, because that would be totally weird.
No, I don't know. It was probably from the 80s, but yeah. And I met them for the first time, and that was cool. And I've met a lot of other great people that watch the shows, and that's what I dig the most. Yeah,
I love that. When you go to, I've been to a couple of conferences like, hey, Brian. And like, it's someone you chatting with, but you never seen their face. And I'm like, it's
yeah.
Sean. And I'm like, oh God, it's good
Well,
to meet
yeah.
you.
And I
You
just
know?
one guy, hey, BMR, and I'm like, oh yeah, of course you kind of know me. You know, I'm modest. I'm like, hey, what's happening? I don't know who this guy is. Is well, I handle and chat is blah blah blah, and I'm looking at this guy. I said, wow, I thought you were a chick. I'll just
Some of the handles, you don't know if they're like
no, that's
what they are,
no, and I like that more than anything. Whether I'm speaking or selling books, number one for me is meeting the people that give us that time to watch us each and every night. And when I say I love the chat people and the people that
I
are
do too.
subscribers. And also, I have to say too that just because you're not a participant in the chat room, the show is really driven by the people that watch. Because if I get
100%.
50, 100 people in chat on the night show, fine. But that the bulk of the views are made up by people that aren't in chat. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. The problem is, so I used to do individual YouTube pages for what we do. And you have like a 1,500 here and 700. And I've said this before. I was like, I'm tired of managing 7 YouTube channels. That's why I just went to at Bryan Bowden, just to do one. And it's just, we used to have a lot of people in the audience, and it does bum me out because it's still fresh and new, Third Eye Live. But thanks to you, I mean, we pushed it over, 300 or something like that. And I can't thank you guys enough for the promotion, but it's so much better when there's some chat going on because it becomes part of the show,
It does. And, we do the best I can to welcome questions if we see them because, a lot of times when you're doing a show, you can't pay attention to the chat room 100%, right?
Right. No, you can't, especially if you're solo,
Yeah. Well, when you're going solo, it's very difficult. I do solo show on Friday, and I just don't really read the chat too often.
It's a difficult task to be on. You have a lot to say. You're really like, for someone who kind of like, oh, this is interesting or whatever, and you really got into this. So you've, from what I remember or know of you of like from SOR to where you are now, it's like apples and oranges, and it's like you've expanded, you vibrated higher and whatever, but it's so difficult to do it solo. It's always good to have a sidekick. And and you have beautiful sidekicks. Like Krista comes on, she's super smart, she knows so much stuff. She's awesome, and she's good looking. So it's always better to have people that are good looking. What is LA like? If you want to look thin, hang out with fat people.
Well, no, it's funny because I do a Saturday night show, and I try to keep it mostly with the girls. It's Krista, Brandy, who's super attractive, and Monica Rollins. I mean, I got
they're all There's a lot of really beautiful women in this.
They're all
network.
Smart. They're all smart.
Super. I love looks are great.
Yeah.
But I've actually had a couple of girlfriends that were like drop dead stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't talk to them.
Yeah.
You try, and they're not whatever. And Brandy, Monica, Krista, all of them.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. And they know their stuff, and you can actually have a conversation with them. And what's cool is, I was just said this to Linda. I got interviewed by Linda Eastman. You had her on the other night. Yeah. She was fantastic. And I wanted to talk more because it's hard to talk about a lot of the subjects that we talk about with every average day people that don't get it. They just think you're out of your mind. And there's a lot of importance there. And you can talk to them. You can sit there and just ask weird questions. What do you think this is? What do you think? And have a conversation, and where there she is. There's beautiful. Beautiful is in chat. One of the 2 beautiful ladies that make a Blondes and Booze. But it's hard to have a conversation with this. I was told by my family I talk about paranormal too much. And I'm like, but that's what I do now. I mean, this is basically, It's really weird. I don't want to call it a career, but I've, had a lot of experiences, and I'm not doing this to pat myself on the back. I'm not one of those guys.
No, I know.
I don't do that. But I mean, I get phone calls from people in Japan asking me to come on at some show, and with the broken English, and I'm like, how do these people know me? I'm like, oh, I watched you on this. I see you, and I'm like, I'm more than happy to talk about it with people that want to talk about it. But in general, you can't just go up to somebody like, oh, so you believe in Bigfoot?
Yeah. Well, I do that now. You probably heard me talk about this. I always.
No, I didn't. You do that? You just go up to people?
No, it always happens at the mobile gas station.
I'll take a pack of Cools and
yeah,
have you seen Bigfoot?
And especially if the line's long. And I have this. And Krista says I had certain skills, gifts, and so does
you too.
And I just don't really. I don't know. I am who I am, and I guess maybe I don't know. But in the last couple of years, I can look at somebody and I think, man, I bet there's a story out of this person.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? And I'll just say something kind of off the wall to them if we're in line, and they'll look at me and they say, you know what? I go, well, yeah, I have a channel and I talk paranormal and cryptid stuff. Oh wow! So this guy went on to tell me about a paranormal experience, right? And I'm like, wow, that's pretty amazing. And I shared it one time on the show,
Yeah.
Kroger. I was at the Kroger. I was at Walmart. I told this before. I'm going to be brief about it, but you didn't hear this. I was in a Walmart. And I normally don't go to Walmart. And I was there about 7 o'clock in the morning because that is the best time to go because normally people are there.
That's because before all the freaks come out. Yeah. Walmart in itself is a paranormal experience.
Well, it is. Yeah. And I had forgotten, so I had called my mom, and I said because most people know that I moved my mom with me a few years ago because after my dad died, I didn't want to be alone, and my brother's got kids, so I'm like, I can take my aunt. She can live here. I have enough room. Yeah. Fine and dandy. So, but I called her, saying, "Mom, you need anything from Walmart?" And so she told me she needed some cereal. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm looking for what I'm shopping there for really quickly, and I'm down this aisle, and it's really a pretty girl. She's like 10 feet away. She's looking at me. I got that feeling she was looking at me, and I happen to look. We make eye contact, and she comes closer to me, and she says, have you had paranormal? And she says to me, Brian, have you had like any weird paranormal experiences? She goes, I know this is kind of weird to say to you. I go, well, I have. She goes, I have too, and I just got that vibe about you. Then I told her that I would show. And so I booked her, and she told me a couple. So she's going to be on my show end of June, this girl that I met.
Cool.
And so it was a brief conversation. And I got to tell you, Brian, the thing that really baked my noodle, as they say in the Matrix, is she's walking away. She turns around and says, oh, by the way, the cereal you're looking for, the cereal you're looking for is down aisle 6. And then she gave me the name of the cereal, which was the name of the cereal my mom gave me that I had forgotten.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I've had experiences with people like that. Well, they're very intuitive and they pick up. I'm not really as forward with I when you pass by people, you pick up on them.
Yeah,
I could I could read everybody right now, but your business. I don't read unless you ask me to.
Yeah.
But some people are projecting so much, it's almost like they want some kind of So I've been able to, I know things and about people, and then I've had people come up to me. But what really, I've been told this several different times that I have a specific archangel that watches over me. His name's Michael. And I do some apparently crazy stuff. And I've actually had a psychic come up to me and goes, they called me an earth angel. You're an earth angel. Like out of the blue, like I'm shopping in Publix or a supermarket, and I'm like, excuse me? You're an earth angel. I said, well, thank you very much. Like I don't know who you are. Some people are great, but I've gotten people unnerved by just my presence. But I don't do anything weird. It's just,
Really?
yeah, there's many times when you're up to no good and I walk in, I've had people run. I wasn't doing anything. They were stealing. But
Yeah. Yeah.
they just see me all the time. Like I've had people think I'm a police officer. I've had people that just come gravitate to me and start talking to me about their lives. I don't know. And this has been my entire life. People just tell me what's bothering them, what's wrong with them, and it's like I'm not a therapist.
Yeah.
I will help, but it's crazy. Like how she knew you were serial. So she must be an intuitive or a psychic.
Yeah.
And a hot psychic is pretty cool too.
Yeah, and yeah, she's pretty, right around my age, I guess. But yeah, I just thought it was just the weirdest thing, and how I totally forgotten what the cereal. I forgot what my mom told me, and then she knew the name of the cereal, and how did she even know that if I forgot what it was? Do you know what I mean? And then she was exactly correct, man. And it just blew. Like I said, I've seen lots of different things, and that's one of the things that kind of it got to me a little bit. Like, how does people? I mean, it was almost scary. I'll be honest with you.
It's unnerving.
Scared. Yeah,
It's unnerving when you have it. So have you ever met one of your guardian angels?
I don't think I have.
Okay. I I don't know for sure if it was a guardian angel, but my other half pissed me the hell off.
Yeah,
I was livid and I was really I mean, like really, got angry. So I just left. I'm done with this, and I left my apartment and I went downstairs and I was smoking a cigarette because I don't smoke in the apartment. When the kids are not here, I can do it. I open the windows, whatever. But
yeah,
and it was like nighttime, dusk or whatever. It was getting dark, and I'm just like not in a good place. And I'm hanging out on the street in front of my building, resting on a car, and getting really, really intense. And I'm like, like this is gonna brew at something bigger. Nothing violent, like like that. I yell, or I'll just be the a-hole I can be. And I'm smoking, and I see this person walk by, smiles at me, says, "Hi, have a good day." And instantaneously, I felt something different, but it was like this person came out of nowhere, and she walked right past me, and I'm like, it took a split second. I'm like, who the hell is that? And then I turned around. There was nobody. And in my personal opinion, that was one of my guides or guardian angels walking over, like, bring it down a level, Brian.
mm-hmm.
And instantaneously it changed. I've had experiences like that. I had an experience where I will swear on a stack of Bibles I was talking to the devil himself.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've had a similar experience to that, which was very creepy. I've shared a couple of these couple times on the show, but talking about the closest thing though, before I get into that, which I don't think I've told you, this, as far as a guardian angel is concerned, I'm not so sure, but I've told this before, but it means a lot to me when I tell you this, because this was just over Christmas time, this past Christmas, and I'm at Kroger. See, like I say, these things happen to me at like Kroger, a restaurant, Walmart's, the gas station.
That's cool because it's a public space. So
yeah, and again, I'm down an aisle, but I know what I'm looking for this time. I'm looking for something, and this older woman, I mean, she was like 20 years older than me, was beside me. Maybe again, we had our space between us, and I was just wearing a brand new parka jacket. It was in December in Michigan. It's mild, so it was like a jacket, but it was
right.
brand new. And when I bought it, I tried it on. I went through all the pockets, felt in all the pockets, and I'm one of these guys that when I get something new, I immediately go home and wash it. So I washed it.
Oh,
yeah, and I don't know why, I just do. I don't know, but so I had this brand new jacket on, and I do not wear a lot of jewelry. Okay, I I've got a really cool sterling silver necklace that my brother and sister-in-law bought for me in Vegas a couple of years ago that I wear once in a while. But other than that, no. I mean, I used to like watches, but I got the phone now, right? So anyway, I don't collect, and I don't collect any. I'm Catholic, but I don't have I don't have a picture of Jesus in my house. I don't have any crosses or rosaries in my house. In fact, I
Right.
don't go to church. So I was talking to this woman, and she was very angelic. Is the best way I can put it. She had like a glow about her, and we struck a conversation, very very small talk. Didn't last but a minute. And then she looks at me and says, "Well, God bless you. Merry Christmas." I'm like, "Same to you. God bless you." So I go about my business, and Brian, I reached in the brand new coat, brand new parka, jacket, it was zipped up. I reached inside it for whatever the reason. I think I'm looking for my wallet, right? Because I don't know if my wallet was in my jacket or
Right.
pants, this, that, the other. I reach in there, and again, I don't collect any trinkets. I mean, I did years ago, right? But this was in my pocket. I don't think this is a cross. This was in my pocket, bro.
That's cool.
I don't collect this stuff, man. I don't think she put it in my jacket either. And like I told you twice, I checked it at the store. I washed it, nothing. Zipped up in the store. Meet this woman. So I don't know what the significance is, but I kept it. I saved this because this is worth saving. There's something behind this.
Yeah, I mean, that could very well have been one of your guardian angels or spirit guides or something that's knows that you're going to need some type of protection, and you're not the type to go out and you don't have to go to a church to be religious.
Right.
Most people, I think religion's more a controlled based thing. So I'm more spiritual.
Yeah.
God built you to have conversations with him. So when your father, if you're a God believer, I believe in God.
Yeah,
no matter the religion.
I do. God, I'm a spiritual guy.
Yeah.
I don't need to go to a building.
No, you don't. You don't need to. The only thing that the building does do for some people is build community, which is interesting because a lot of people don't have it.
Yeah. Okay.
But in general, that angel, that person, or whatever it was that you met, may have known that you were going to come against something or up against something, and you need a little bit more protection. So they put that cross on you to do that, and I think that's a blessing. On the opposite end of the spectrum, a year ago, because I do light worker stuff, there was a heavy presence of like I can't explain it, but evil and demonic, and it was bad. Okay. And to the point where a couple people have called me like, we're under attack, cleanse yourself, which I have. And then another friend called me and goes, out of the blue, and she starts spewing about, you gotta stay positive, we're fighting a battle here, you remain positive, there's a lot of evil. And it was coinciding with a lot of weird shit happening, pardon the expression. I noticed on the odometer of my car, the last 3 digits were 666.
Oh boy! I
felt like it was, whatever. And then eventually my car, which shouldn't have had an issue, had an issue. I had 666 in my emails. And I mean, I just felt this, there was I'm going to say the devil, Satan, whatever you want to call it, was around. And I just felt this weird pressure, like evil is rearing its ugly head. It just kept going on. I got a message from somebody on TikTok. Now, when I go on these social apps, if I find a video I like, I'll like it. But sometimes I connect to them, like follow them, because I don't. If I lose it, I can always look at who I follow, and it'll trigger who it is. So that's what I do. Don't recall ever messaging this person. I get a message from a star. Middle Eastern man who looks evil. Like there's something not good on his face. Okay. Mm-hmm. And messages about how he's sorry it took so long to get back. And I'm like, I must have messaged him thanked them like, wow, that was a great video. Because I do that sometimes, like, great work, whatever. Don't recall it. And, so I'm like, hey, okay, and he starts talking to me. And apparently he's a friend of somebody I knew.
Yeah.
I don't talk to that person anymore. And I got the vibe. As soon as I saw his face, I remember two things in my life. I've had friends do tarot readings for me. 3-card spread. Who loves you? Who protects you? What's your where you are right now, and who's your enemy? And the enemy was always the devil card thrown down. So it was always God protecting me or Michael, and the enemy was always the devil. And I saw that taking place. And in my head, I saw the episode of the Twilight Zone, The Howling Man, where this guy who looks very much like the guy on TikTok transforms from an innocent man into what looks like the devil for the time. Great episode. Go watch it. Looks exactly like this guy. Now, there's all this devil stuff going around. There's Satan stuff going around. There's evil going around. Who is a star? Just so you know.
Okay.
The star, or the morning star, is Lucifer. Okay. I'm getting contacted by a star. See the correlation there?
Yeah.
Getting the vibe that I'm speaking to the devil. So I'm like, okay, this is getting really, really weird. This is going on for a couple of days. I said, I don't normally watch TV or videos or whatever, like I said before.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I want to watch an old movie. I watched the movie Running Scared. Billy Crystal, Gregory Hines, Chicago. It's really funny. It's a good movie. And it's like late at night. It's about 10:30 at night. And I'm watching in my office. And there's a scene. And the scene is the camera's pulling down from, I don't know the name of the building or whatever, but in Chicago, it's Jesus Saves. So it's Jesus Saves on a cross. It's on the side of a building.
Okay.
And then it pans back down to the three characters, Gregory Hines, Billy Crystal, and the third character who's the criminal. And they're walking in front of the 666 lounge.
Oh, boy.
So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I pause it and I said, listen, I don't normally do treats. I run out of my complex in Florida. I go literally down the street, half a block, and there's a racetrack gas station there. I park there and I'm like, I got to get rid of this negativity, whatever, do something positive. So I want to get a treat. I'm sitting there, and outside the gas station, 10:45 at night, is a black gentleman wearing sunglasses and a blood red shirt. He's on the side entrance of there. So I kind of get a weird vibe from him to begin with, and I walk up, and he asks, can I get to the Bright Line from here? I said, yeah, if you go down that street, you can go. Bright Line's a train. He goes, oh, I can walk it? I said, no. You got to Uber or get a car or a bus. And I knew he wanted me to. The intuitiveness, the shit starts kicking in. He wants me to take him, and I don't want to take him. I know who I'm talking to at this point. He has the devil vibe right off. Satan, whatever you want to call him. And he gives me this stupid smile on the face. And I'm like, I got to get away from this guy. So I leave him. I go inside the store. I go buy a Twinkie, which is probably still in me. It will be for the next 50 years. And a Fanta, orange soda. I go up to the register. And the total is $6.66.
Oh, God.
Yeah, then I had to get out of the store, and I said, I'm F this guy. I went back to my car, went back. I have some holy water. I have some other stuff. And I just I started cleansing right off the bat. I literally thought I was talking to the devil. Yes, the movie, Danny, Running Scared from 1986. Great movie.
Yeah.
That's when they made really good movies, not all these Marvel adaptions and all this,
Right.
Same line, whatever, the fighting stuff.
Yes.
So, but it's just weird. Some people you meet, there's a great vibe and an angelic or goodness, and some other people, there's something evil about them.
Yeah, I sensed that. I'm not getting into that. I've told the story ad nauseum about Jimmy, the guy who I thought was evil as a 5-year-old kid.
Oh my God, yeah.
And he, certainly was. And he, again, I'm not telling that whole story. I
No.
tell it quite often, but and he ended up unaliving his grandmother when I came back from college. I found out, and he's the guy that had. I felt like he had negative energy when I was rolling around on the ground playing soccer in high school.
You picked it
I,
up, because
I
you're
pushed him.
intuitive, whether you know
I
it or not.
I pushed him away. I said, "Get away from this! Get away from me!" And my friends made fun of me. Why are you running from Jimmy like a little girl? I'm like, well, because I can't get into it. I can't explain it. So yeah,
They wouldn't
terrible.
they wouldn't know it anyhow. You
Right.
know what? But also you owning the bar and your business type, you knew right up. You used to say it all the time. You didn't really have to interview people
No,
or look at their resume. You would know. That's your intuitiveness, your third eye, your vibe.
yeah,
This is important. People have to do it. And you didn't even have to. You may not have been aware of all that, paranormal stuff back then,
no,
but you were doing it and you still do it. And now that you're in this, your vibration went,
yeah.
you've leveled up, level 6 boss fight. Coming in.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I don't accept it. It's just you know how people are. You're just like it's so
Well,
much to take in, right?
yeah.
And
For,
maybe I should take classes. I don't know.
no,
Maybe
for the longest time, right? So it's called the remote viewing, but I remember doing it as a kid. Like I would literally, I went to high school in New York City, but I was doing weird things as a kid. And I would go to high school, get on the private bus, city bus that goes from the city back to the Bronx. And I'd sit in the back of the bus and you'd be bored. So I'd see people coming in, I'd pick somebody and I'd say in my head, turn around. Turn around. Come on, you want to say hi, turn around. And then you get these people that would sheepishly turn because you're connecting with them. And then you'll get the people that look at you like cut the crap. That are really they know they're getting it. But I've been doing this since the beginning. I call it remote viewing, even though I do have other abilities. And it took me only a few years ago did I really come out and admit to what I can do, because one, I don't want to be a Miss Cleo, call me now, I'll tell you the future, and I called it remote viewing to stay away from the woo side of things. But I do what I do.
yeah.
And if I help you, I help you. That's how that's what I
You
want
know,
to do.
no, I think it's awesome, and you've been a great help to me over the years too, with a lot of different things in all these different fields. And I'm kind of glad you're on and we're talking about this to start the show, because I think I might have mentioned this to you before. I've always had all these weird dreams, and I know that you're decent. You know quite a bit about dreams, correct?
Oh yeah.
And I might have told you this. I don't remember, but I think it's important since I've got you on the show. And I mentioned this once or twice in the show, but this happened to me just past summer. We were backstage talking. So my brother and Karen, my sister-in-law, his wife, they go to Vegas every June. They go for 3 months. They're in the World Series of Poker. They always play. They're very good at it. And I went on a stretch of maybe 5 or 6 straight years where I would always go too, but I wouldn't stay that long. I wouldn't play in the World Series, but I would always play cards at the Flamingo. And they knew a lot of people. Like my brother and sister-in-law have been to Vegas for going on over 20 years, and they know everybody in the town and all the hotels. They're very well known there because they're always there. And so for about a 5-year period, Brian, I was going to the Flamingo all the time as well, and I would play poker. So that's to give you the background on that information. But throughout my life, I've always had these vivid dreams that seem like they're very real. Sometimes they're pleasant, sometimes they're not so pleasant. But most of the times, I always start in a place of familiarity, like Vegas. And you're still on mute, by the way. I saw. Okay,
No, I did it because I was coughing.
I saw you now. I thought so.
I have my voice. I'm losing my voice because I'm so tired. So I sound like some really cheap phone sex operator.
Now you sound fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, then I'll have these dreams though, man. I start off in a familiar place like Vegas or like shopping mall, right? Whatever. And I always I'm always there doing my thing. Then I just get lost, and it seems like all these rooms enclose upon me. And then there's always somebody that helps me get out. Like it's usually a relative,
Right.
or mostly my passed on father about 8 years now, right? And he's always there to guide me out. And I wake up, it ends up being a good dream, right? So last June, Dave and Karen, they're in Las Vegas. And I'm like, okay, and I'm at home and I go to bed at night and I have this dream. I'm in Vegas at the Flamingo. And I see all the familiar faces that I used to see all the time a few years ago. Bartenders, dealers at the table. Because I went quite often too for a while. And I'm playing cards with this guy sits down at the table, one of the creepiest looking guys. He reminded me kind of the guy from that movie. I forgot the crypt keeper in the movie with a skinny body and a long gray hair. I forgot the name of the movie.
Hellraiser,
Yes,
Phantasm, or something
yeah,
like that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That is pretty creepy.
No, man. So he's playing cards, and I'm pretty skilled at it. And I knew that my odds were like 93% I'm going to win this hand when it's all said and done. So I shove all my money in the pot, and this guy calls me, and I had 3 sevens. I had a full house of 3. I had 3, not 3 sevens. I had 3 5s and 2 sevens, full house.
Nice.
Winning hand, dude. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
The old man, 3 6s and 2 aces.
Ooh.
And he looked at me, gotcha. I knew what you had. I'm like, okay. And this is in the dream. So I get up in this dream. I'm walking down this corridor, and this creepy guy's following me. And then all of a sudden, like I always have in these dreams, I got lost. I don't know where I'm at. The flamingo became unfamiliar. And this creepy man puts his hand on my shoulder, right? Spins me around. I look at him. Now I'm frightened in this dream, and he doesn't say anything. And then all of a sudden, he materialized into my father, who always rescues me in my dreams. My dad reached out his hand, grabbed me, and I can kind of in the dream even feel his presence as he smiles at me. I'll get you out of here, Robbie. You know.
Yeah.
And he pulls me close, and then he says, "I'm taking you to the lake of fire." And he turned back into that guy, and I woke up in a hot, and I woke up immediately. I woke up sweating like I was on fire. Now, really briefly, my brother and Karen are in Las Vegas, and I'm having this dream while they're in Vegas, and they just happened to be watching my show because I went on and did a show and told about this experience. That's how scared I was. They happened to catch me live in their hotel room. They went to the Vegas. They went down to the card room where I played, where I described on my show, where I had this experience in my dream. They called me and they're telling me that they saw my show. They went down to the Flamingo because they were 2 blocks away, and they walked into that card playing area. And do you know that one of the bartenders and one of the card dealers, both within different time periods, within 5 minutes of each other, came up to both my brother and sister-in-law and said, "Hey, we just saw your brother playing cards."
Yeah, you were playing cards.
I wasn't there though. I was home sleeping.
No, well, yes and no. So here's I've explained this once before. So when you go to sleep, when you go to bed, that's when everything that's static gets pushed away. You go to rest and you vibrate at your highest frequency, and you connect back to source, and source will download your information, then give you some stuff. And sometimes what source will do is they'll give you an experience versus a dream. Dreams are very vague. It's like, Tex was there, I think, and he was trying to go Bigfoot hunting in an ice cream truck, but it got stuck. Weird, But like you just said, you went into all these details.
Yeah.
You are actually doing it. And that's the difference between a dream and an experience. You were at the hotel. You were doing that. And the thing that Mr. Phantasm that you met there brought you there, and or somebody else brought you there you need to experience this to understand the lesson or the information they're downloading you with. That person mimicked your father, because when you get to the other side, past, present, future of everybody and everything. That's why when they're tricksters out there and they pretend to be grandpa or whatever, you don't know if that's really grandpa. So they know that your dad is your ace in the hole, no pun intended.
Right.
And they're going to see if you took the bait. Like, okay, I'll go with you. And then you would have been brought to that's where they're testing you at this point. There's many times when you sleep, you can astro project as well. That's part of it. But you were at that casino playing. If the bartenders and the dealers, we just saw your brother playing cards. You were there playing cards. And this is all how it happens. It's the weirdest thing in the world. It's hard to explain because it's something you wouldn't believe. Right. You would never believe, but they do this to you. Like when you wake up and you're waking up in a cold sweat and all the inner details like you just described.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can describe even more of it.
Yeah,
that's not a dream. That's an experience. And that experience is there to teach you. Beware of what is in front of you. Beware of, understand how evil works. They will manipulate you and will morph into something that you trust, but you have to be cautious about trusting. Your dad, you went to him and he said, I'm taking you to the lake of fire.
Yeah.
That thing was mimicking your father to get you, to pull you to that lake of fire. And I think had you gone with him, you may not have woken up. He would have used that opportunity to take whatever he wanted from you. I've had plenty of experience. I had an experience that involved Jesus. I'm not going to go into it because people got so freaking pissed.
Okay.
And I don't want to go into it, but I could describe every square inch of everybody in that dream, including the Roman soldiers. I mean, like the detail, because I was there. I've never done past life regression, nor do I want to. I have missing time. I'm not going to regress, because once you open the Pandora's box, you can't close it and you may not sleep for the rest of your life. But I can tell you without a doubt all the details of this stuff. And I've woken up sometimes doing tasks that only can be done in that spirit realm. And there is a spirit realm. There's the earth, there's heaven, and there's the spirit realm ether that's in between. And certain things take place in it that they sometimes need special people to come into, and that will manipulate, to manipulate or to make an outcome come out. So, treasure those moments. They're scary, but understand that, you learned your lesson.
And I think I did. Rags suggested, hi Rags, maybe
Hey, Rags. I
astral projected, since I'm so familiar with that place.
Well, that's part of it. That's, I've said this before to somebody else. I've been caught remote viewing. If someone is really in tune with it, and I've been caught several times. One time I again, through a dream, I was sleeping, but it was an experience. I materialized at a certain location. There was woods that opened up into a desert, and there was a huge fort-like structure there. And every so many feet were these like towers, and within the towers, it looked like there were angels in cloaks, and they were just stood still, and they looked like statues. They blended in right to the stone. And as I walked there, they were following me and their heads moved. And I'm like, I'm being watched. And I knew I shouldn't have been there. But they were showing me something, whoever they are. And I'm going to assume it's God. Yeah. Say, be wary. There are people out in the world or in the ether that are doing things on the earth that will have an effect if you don't, take precautions.
Yeah.
Those dreams are the most bizarre. You ever have those like super, super real dreams too that are like, I've had some really good ones. Everything was great. My life was great, and then you wake up and you're like, I want to go back, like this sucks.
Yeah, and I've dreamt part ones and part twos that have continued on for weeks. But you know what's interesting?
Those are great because if it's a good one,
yeah.
And if the girl's good looking,
it's usually involves a girl. Usually,
the women's good looking. It's great. They're like, hey, day 2.
Yeah, hey, and then I've had those ones where when I wake up, I'm glad I woke up, and then which is a bad one. Then it replays all over again. So I've had a lot of weird dreams, but I will tell you this though. And I must tell you, and like I said, I've always had these vivid, lifelike dreams. But I must say, for whatever the reason, Brian, this was like last June. That is the last extremely vivid dream that I can honestly tell you that I've had in 12 months. Now that this is now June, do I have your regular basic dream that we all have? Yeah, but nothing like I used to have. And I'm just wondering if I broke out of that. Maybe there was something that is gone away, right? I don't know. I can't explain it, but my dream pattern is way different now.
We go through stages in life and phases in life, and your path is what your path is.
Right.
And when they want you to learn something to level up, that's when you'll get the vivid ones. And sometimes they know that you can only take so much before you'll have a breakdown. You're dealing with a lot of stuff. We all are.
Yeah.
And to add to it at that point may blow, you're at the max. So they'll let you have a cool off period, like a little mini vacay before they throw something your way.
So they might get a reboot. Who knows?
You may get a reboot. When they want you to learn something, you get a reboot. It's really interesting. When I do readings for people, I always tell them the caveat, which is the truth. Yeah. The future is fluid. So if I tell you like you're going to be, you're going to get a great job and a lot of money and life's going to be better or whatever it is, or you win the lottery, I'm just making that up. Don't sit back on your ass and do nothing, because that's only if you continue to go down. You got to get up, go to work, blah, blah, blah. You got to buy the ticket, whatever. If you don't go down that path, you've just changed the outcome. I've had a reading with someone who told them, don't be lazy. This will happen. And I knew that they sat back and did nothing. So what I did was I just got an instant download. He's not doing what he's supposed to. I said, you're not doing what you're supposed to. I'm going to start you off. And I started him off with something because he's supposed to write a book. He goes, how the hell did you do that? I was just thinking about the fact I was, lollygagging. Mm-hmm. And I said, it's just how it works. Sometimes I have really good dreams. Sometimes I don't. By the way, I just have to state this. Yeah. I'm always scratching my nose. I do not do any drugs whatsoever, especially cocaine. I just have the mustache hairs tickle my nose. And I did the waxing thing, and you ladies are out of your freaking minds with the waxing. I went to the man cave, to get I said, wax the nostrils and the ears. They put this stuff and they pull it out. And I'm like, you women are gluttons for punishment. You are nuts. I mean, if it hurt right here because it tickles, like the whatever. Yes. I mean, I think of some of the places you ladies do things, and I'm like, you're out of your freaking mind to put that stuff there. No, I'm good. Never do that again.
I can't imagine. It
was. You know me. I'm like, I can make a joke out of anything. I mean, I already had my funeral planned. Everybody knows. I want my casket painted like a NASCAR with the number 86. I'm going to hire mourners, half of which are going to be wearing Hawaiian shirts and doing the Beach Bowl thing like at a concert, and the other half just weeping like he was so good in bed. And at the end of it, I want everybody to get a T-shirt that says I went to Brian's funeral and all I got was a fucking T-shirt.
Right.
But it doesn't end there. I want neon on my my headstone and an LCD built into the headstone with a pressure plate on the grass. And the neon I'm toying with either help wanted, inquire within, or open all night. And then when you step or get close to the grave, it's going to kick in the pressure plate. I'm like, oh, look who decided to show up, like, or some joke or whatever, like, So I can make jokes about anything and everything. And getting that stuff pulled out of your nostrils and your ears was just like, you guys are nuts. Like, I'd rather meet a dog man head on than that crap again.
No, well, meeting a dog. Hey, Brian, I got a guy at my side door right quick. I got to let him into my backyard. It'd be
I saw some questions, so I'll answer some of the questions.
Just maybe a couple seconds. All right.
Yeah. So someone asked a question about, is there a way you can prevent from being seen when you remote view? Not really. You can surround yourself with white golden light. What I do is I protect myself with the white golden light of God. I put a bubble around me, and the bubble has a mirror on the outside. It's like a one-way mirror. So I can see through it, but you can't see anything but your reflection. But people that are intuitive and have the abilities that are out there, they will see you. Children will see you all the time. They're just totally gifted as far as that was concerned, And then someone asked another question about what's the deal with Sir Bryan. I am a real Knights Templar. I've been made a Knights Templar through an organization, the Knights Templars, and they do it through allegory, and it's totally different. I take on the philosophy of what the true Knights Templars have done, like doing good for people and just in order, being a better person. When you're crying in your dreams, people, you still have this. Someone asked about when crying in your dreams. I mean, you're going through something. It could be, I've been cracking up in my dreams. There's been some funny moments. I mean, like I'm laughing, and I know I'm laughing. And I kind of wake myself up a little bit, but it's too funny. I've cried in the dream because I've had a moment where it was tough. So it's you still live those moments, no matter if you're awake or in a state of consciousness.
I must say that throughout my lifetime of dreaming, I should have retitled this show Dreamscape. I've never woke up crying ever. I don't recall.
No, I mean some people have. I've seen my kids have they've had nightmares, and I have two daughters. They're not young anymore.
Yeah,
but they're both very intuitive, and when they had they've woken up crying. They were crying. I heard them crying. I'm like, "Are you all right?" And they give you a big hug, and they're having a nightmare because they're going through something. It wasn't a dream. It was an experience, and they're not able to handle the experience. So, but it's everybody's weird. I sleep with my eyes open. It scares the crap out of people. Like, is he dead? He's mostly dead.
I don't know if I think that I might have. No one's ever told me that, but it just seems weird. A lot of times when I'm watching TV late at night, and I don't watch really a lot of TV either. It's usually other things, right? Documentaries and things, a lot of creepy stuff. And sometimes I had a dream where I was waking up watching TV, right? And it was like, yeah, I just saw that on TV. Did I dream that or was I awake? But I wanted to ask you, when you have a dream, do you think there's any significance into the future? Like I've had dreams about future events that have actually taken place.
Yeah, you're seeing the future just like someone else that's a premonition or whatever. But they're allowing you to see the future because in some way, shape, or form, does it affect you? You have to think, like, do I know somebody on that train? Do I know somebody in California, with the earthquakes? And I still see a big event on the West Coast. I still have seen that. Matter of fact, I've done a couple of I think it with Chris and Brandy is on the Blondes and Booze. I've done prediction shows 2025.
Yeah.
And I did it with the Michigan crew, Michelle and Wayne. And I went to a hockey game, so I couldn't be on the show. So I gave them my predictions, and they were like, so far, I just talked to them. I may be on their show Sunday. I've been like, I'm pretty spot on about my predictions. And I'm watching the news, I'm hearing things here and there. I don't watch TV, but sometimes I'll hear the news and I'm like, oh God, we're in line with what's taking place. It's meant for you to see. Sometimes it's meant for you to tell somebody, like, be careful, don't go there. Mm-hmm. Whatever. It's hard. Someone asked a question in chat about how do you block things?
Okay.
It takes a lot of energy to block people and know their stuff and not read them. The one thing you can't really block is the empath part of it, the emotional component. Mm-hmm. If I walk in the streets, sometimes it's like walking through like a fog of stickiness. You get out and you're like, I gotta go. I'll give you an example, or you see something and you're meant to see it. I was interviewing a tarot card reader a couple months back to be on my show. Sent a couple of email messages, but I got a reading in the process. So I was inviting him to the show. My other half was picking up my daughter at the middle school, which it's the middle school, then like a canal in Florida, then the high school parking lot. So we park in the high school parking lot because getting out of middle school is crazy. And they walk over the bridge and they come to the high school. Well, some of these, there's about 3 or 4 kids on bicycles. They're hooligans, whatever it is. They always cause problems. Get out of the street. These 2 kids were riding. They weren't paying attention. Long story short, one of these transport 18-wheelers that transport the big cranes or the D10s, it's heavy-duty stuff, was going down 20 miles an hour, real slow. The kid had an accident, flipped. One kid got, broken bones because it went under the tire. The other kid's head got crushed by the tire. Dead. 13-year-old boy. I heard that, my heart sank. Even though the kid was a pain in the ass, as a parent, most miserable day of your life. I just, whatever. So the problem I have is my daughter wanted to go right to a poster, and they put these memorials up where people die on the highway and whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This happens every time I pass them, by the way. I went over there, and in the ground, I can see the spot where, this was a couple of days later, where the blood was. And I can I can see it and feel it, what's going on there. I had to walk away. My wife's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. She doesn't believe it. And that's another problem I have. And I'm like, I got to move out of here because I'm picking up on it. And for weeks afterwards, as I'm traveling down that road, that's the center median, right where the kid died, I see the kid sitting in the median, sitting there, on the sidewalk, like knees up a little, and he's looking like he doesn't know where he is. Like, why am I here? And I kept telling him, Landon, you got to go to the light. You got to go to the light, buddy. And after about like a week worth of telling him, he went to the light, and I don't see him there anymore. But when I pass some of these places on the highways, I still see the people sitting there. They're there. They don't know what happened to them, and because they never transitioned. Because you have a window. It's a window of opportunity.
Okay.
And there are some people that, imagine waking up in the pitch black, like, what the hell is going on? Where am I? Not knowing where you are. What just happened? And then you see this beam of light that's, like a laser beam, like, you're going to stay away from it. You don't realize it's there. It's your doorway, your stairway to heaven. So you run away from it, and then you get stuck there in the ether for decades, hundreds of years, centuries.
You know,
It's crazy.
I was talking to a couple people. Well, one person in particular that said that we have a choice when that time comes to either go or stay, right? But like you said, there's a window. There's only two. You don't get this opportunity too often, right?
Nope.
He goes on to tell me this story about he was suffering a major heart attack and he was in the ER. He's on the gurney. He's getting worked on. And of course, he's under, right, anesthesia as the doctors are performing surgery. And he says during this time, he was looking down. He said he didn't really see a light or anything, but during this entire procedure, he was looking down at himself while he was being worked on by the doctors. And
NDA.
he heard every word that they were saying.
Yep.
And then he got out of it. They saved him. And then when he woke up, he started spewing to the doctors, kind of reciting word for word what just took place. And the doctors look at this guy like, wow, wow.
That's crazy.
There's no way in science, there's just no way this can happen. So the man was getting ready to go, but he said that he remembers telling me that it was a bad time for him to leave the earth because there's things going on with the family. Things were not in order. And he knew, as he's telling me, that had he gone that night, he felt that his family would have crumbled, not only emotionally, but financially, because of certain things that he had to fix before he left. So was it his own personal willpower? Did the man above or wherever he was going grant him a stay on this earth?
No. Most of the time when you come back, it's not your time.
Okay.
There's two reasons why you get to come back. It's not your time. It was an accident, and they're not ready for you. You got to go back. Now, the problem is a lot of people that go to heaven or where they go, I can't describe it, but it's just the most wonderful place you've ever been. And you definitely don't want to leave it to come back here.
Okay.
So that's one reason. Second reason is, unbeknownst to you, you have to do certain things in order. You're a worker of light or something. Okay. There's certain tasks you're going to do that will help the good, God. So they send you back. The whole thing of like the 7 seals or the 7 signs with the Ingmar Bergman film where you're playing chess with death, it doesn't work that way. Your time is your time and that's it. But when you mess up, like if you do something, I've stopped many people from killing themselves. And I'm more than happy to do it. If that's my purpose, especially people that are trying to get to loved ones that have passed on and they're lonely and I love them and I can't live my life without them.
Yeah.
I explain it to them. You have a path to follow. There's certain things you still have work to do. And if you try to circumvent that, God will screw you royally and you will come back and be miserable because you have to follow a certain path. With him, he had a near-death experience. I will guarantee you that he's more intuitive now. He knows things about people. He's not going to, I don't think that the person squandered the opportunity.
Okay. And
he got stuff done. It's not because like, well, if I leave now my kids or whatever, if it's your time, it's your time. People will move on. Unfortunately, that's how life is.
Yes.
We were born. I said this to a doctor once. I had like bronchitis or whatever. I wasn't breathing at 100% or whatever. He goes, that's terrible. And I said, Doc, we're born, we live, we die. Some people do it faster than others. And he looked at me like, what the hell is wrong with you? And I'm like, but that's the truth. Some people, you keep coming back to fix where you went wrong. So you die, you go up there, you go to orientation, and they show you your life like, oh, you messed up here, here, and here. And there's different levels to heaven as well as hell. So you can stay here, or you can go back and fix those things. Then you move up higher and it gets better. And some people choose to come back, and they come back and they fix, what they've messed up in the past, and it gets checked off. And then when they're done, they say, you don't have to reincarnate anymore. And come back. You fulfilled your obligation in coming back to the planet or whatever in life. That's why they do what they do. But when you have a near-death experience, 99% of the time it's an accident. It wasn't meant to happen. Or it's also a vehicle you're supposed to open up your certain abilities. And it's a vehicle to get you to open up the abilities.
Not to get too more, but really quickly, thank you, Kelly. Canada's finest with the awesome super chat. Also, thanks, Kelly. I couldn't, for whatever reason, thank you. You sent me a super thanks for a replay. Thank you for that. It's also available, folks, out there if you care to.
Yeah.
But thanks, Kelly. I couldn't send you a thanks, so I'm glad you popped in the show. Appreciate you. Not to get too morbid with this show. Do we have a death date?
Yeah, everybody does. You have an end date. You don't. Some people can see it. Some people know it. Like Edgar Cayce was famous for telling people they were going to die. Some people know it. I don't want to know it. Apparently, 2 years ago when I was 100% blocked. If I went and laid down, I wouldn't be here. I pardon the expression, and I was close to dying, but that was a surreal moment too, because early in the day at 10:38, my cousin sends me a picture of her grand niece. She's a great aunt. She goes, I'm a great aunt. I said, you're okay, but maybe you're not great. Like we could joke around cousin wise.
Yeah.
And Claire was born on March 2nd, 10:38 in the morning. So my cousin said, I wish my dad was here to see it. And I said, what makes you think he wasn't? Because I know he was. She goes, well, yeah, I guess so. So I was so happy, like it's a good part of the family. It's not the bad family you don't like,
Yeah.
So fast forward 12 hours, about 10, 11 hours, Rangers lose a game. They should have won. I only love hockey.
Yeah.
I'm pissed. I don't drink, but I had a beer, and I got what felt like a gas bubble, and it wasn't a gas bubble. I knew it was a heart attack. Oh, so I called 911. We get and I'm the whole time I'm praying to everybody, but I'm also praying to my uncle, which would be the great grandfather of this baby that was just born.
Okay.
My cousin's dad. And because if I prayed to my father, he'd be out smoking cigars someplace and like whatever. So I'm going through it, and I'm just focusing and whatever, and they're going through the procedure. And they finished. They put a stent in, saved my life. And fun part is, okay, so they I have a stent in there. I'm jacked up on adrenaline. You do never want to be knocked out for any of that stuff. Your adrenaline is there to keep you alive. They wheel me out. My other half's there with a friend of ours. And then the opposite side is the doctor that just saved my life. So they wheel me out. And he's having a conversation with my wife. And she goes, Bryan, this is a doctor that just saved your life. I said, thank you for saving my life. He goes, I was telling them I have a right branch problem. Everybody that came, the EMS, whatever. He says, well, I was telling your wife, I've read about this, but this is the first time I've seen it. Your right branch grew its own bypass. So my heart grew its own bypass.
Oh.
So without missing a beat, I go, must be those alien implants, And so my friend and our friend and my wife were laughing. The doctor looks at me and is like, is he still on drugs or whatever? I'm like, no, he's just into paranormal. Here's the weird paranormal part. The stent that saved my life went in and on record at 10:38 p.m.
No.
And I still thank you, Uncle Sydney, for all your help. But I think the reason why I didn't go at that moment is I think I have a lot more work to do. I think God has, and it's not a great life. My life is, I've been sent back to zero so many times, but I keep going. And I was talking to a friend of mine who, really big in past lives and reincarnation. And I'm like, I must have destroyed an entire planet of people like Alderaan in a past life to have to go through all the crap I'm going through in this one, because I wouldn't wish this life on anybody.
Being that you're a remote viewer, I know that you can you can choose what you want to do. And it's typically you're not going to pry into somebody's personal life, but things that you could come across with this gift or skill that you have, right? Does that sometimes frighten you that you can see certain things that you wish you hadn't seen?
Oh yeah, I literally can see things, not to get into too many details, but if like for example, if you had a girlfriend and she's cheating on you, and it was my girlfriend, I'm in the motel room and they're cheating. I feel all the emotions, and it sucks. It sucks. Actually, you mentioned the question before. They were talking about remote viewing, I think, with Linda last night or the night before. And they said, I always tell you, your business, your business. I'm not going to read you. But there's an energy coming out, which you're supposed to, and it keeps coming, it keeps coming, it keeps coming. So you're reading it. And I'm not reading that just yet, but I make a caveat. I read my 2 children and their friends all the time, because that's my responsibility. And I know what, that's about. So I would. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you, Davey boy.
Go Oilers. Dave Scott, Spaced Out Radio. Check him out 7 days a week, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
10 my time, 10 Eastern. When I'm in
right.
bed by then.
At least you get that extra, that convenience of the extra hour. When I'm on Spaced Out Radio, it's from 12 to, it was 12 to 3, and now it's 12 to 2. And by the time you get off, you go out, smoke a cigarette.
Right. Yeah, we do a show for me. When I did a few shows with Dave, and it's 3 a.m. when I'm done. And now I get up at 6 a.m, so I watch the replays on Dave's channel.
Yeah. So it's just
go Oilers, like I said, David. We'll see what happens here.
Did they win?
They
won game 1?
I fell asleep. They were.
I don't know if they won game 1.
I was watching some of your show was 2-1 Panthers, I think.
Well,
Edmonton, I think. Panthers. And I didn't
look
up this morning. I've been busy all morning. I didn't even get a chance to look up the final results.
I may have to change my background just for Dave. Hey, Dave, what's going on, buddy?
Sweet. 4-3 Oilers in overtime.
There you go.
There we go. Good.
So, I think it's going to be actually a really great series. There hasn't been a really great series in a while.
No.
They usually blowouts. So, but I still say, Dave, if Florida wins, come to Florida. Come to Florida for that Spaced Out Radio Jammy Jam. That'd be great.
It wouldn't be right if we didn't talk a little cryptids, because we talk names and psychics and everything today. But something that we've never spoken about, really. I mean, we might have brushed it over. We've always talked Bigfoot, Dogman, all the other things. But I've gotten a lot of different stories lately about Dogman being inherently evil. Now, we talked about flesh and blood, interdimensional, this, that, and the other. Talked about Hounds of Hell, right? it almost seems like you can always find a dog man lurking at a cemetery or a graveyard, a keeper of the crypt. I'm on the fence with it being inherently evil because I think it goes both ways. But it's still one of those things that's tough for me to get a grip on. I mean, spot on. Do you think the dog man is something we should be fearful of?
I'm not a fan of them. I've had experiences, one of which it just stood there. I didn't feel any threat whatsoever until it disappeared, and I felt like, okay, this thing's coming now. Another one I met, not by on purpose. I was taking someone to see a Bigfoot area, but if you have Bigfoot, you have Dogman, and I didn't realize the path to the Bigfoot was covered up, overgrown. So they went the wrong way, and there's this Dogman there with, I mean, like really scary one, big, front snout, teeth, like with showing, and that thing was like, get the hell out of here. It depends. I'm hearing other stories where they're not as, don't judge the book by the cover, but in general, I think they're pretty aggressive. They're very intelligent. They know that what they look like, and they know that they produce fear in people. It depends on the scenario and the situation with them. I don't know if they're inherently evil. I think they're very connected to the Bigfoot, believe it or not. I think they're a disfigurement of Bigfoot.
Well, you told me, I think, if I can recall, on another show that you thought they were related.
I do believe that they are related. I believe they are a genetic disfigurement of the species. And that's why I've seen FLIR footage of Bigfoot and Dogmen's together, like almost like a couple. And if you look at the variants of, there's a bunch of variants of Dogmen, and the one just above my head looks a little bit more like, some of them look like baboons, some of them look like a combination of a dog and a primate. So I mean, and some of them look like just canine. I just think it's disfigurement. And the interesting thing is, we as a group or a species, we have different disfigurements in the species that is consistent throughout, no matter what you are human-wise, Asian, African, or whatever. My doctor had a split lip and a pressed nose, and that's a certain look. And I had a friend growing up in camp who had the same look. So I think it's a disfigurement, and then they are ostracized from the clan. But some of them still play with them, and then they cohabitate, and then some of the other disfigurements come out. So if you have a Bigfoot and a deformed Bigfoot, creating them, or whatever, over time you'll start getting different, pods of disfigurement and disformity. I know people are going to be pissed off because they think it's separate and distinct, but I don't believe it is.
Well, that's interesting, and we all can formulate our own, what we believe.
Yeah.
And I just think that every time I get to come across somebody tell me something about a dog man, I've never seen one. I just had the one Bigfoot encounter. I've had very many more paranormal experiences, right?
Right.
And even today, as you know, I don't call my experience 100% legit Bigfoot. It probably is now. The more and more that I've learned,
it is.
But it's just one of those crazy things, and it's, again, like anything else, is hard to accept, even when you see it with your own eyes, right? It's like, wow.
Let me tell you, when you see it, even if you research it, you're like, I mean, I brought in a huge craft in Pine Bush, a couple of acres wide.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. I was like, holy crap. Yeah, you can't, sometimes it's like, I didn't want to believe this damn thing was real either. Yeah. But they are.
But they're out there, and I must say that I got some people doing some work out back for me. That's why I had to leave for 2 seconds and pay
No
these guys
problem.
this, that, and the other. But it's always a pleasure, Brian, when you come on in. I'm looking forward to seeing you, in September.
Yep, I'm looking forward to seeing you and the rest of the crew and all these fans. And I said I'd be giving free hugs. Hugs are there, and I may do some readings for people. So who knows?
Yeah. Hey,
But I'll be presenting on. I believe I'm presenting on Dogman. I think that's what they wanted. So what you guys wanted, but it kind of segues into
it goes all over the place.
Yeah.
It's going to go all over the place. But I'm looking forward to. We added another venue Thursday. We're doing a pre-party. Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah, I'll be there.
For all ticket holders. We rented a haunted ranch.
Oh, really?
I'm going to stay at. Yes.
So they're going to get you to stay there?
I'm going to stay there. In fact, I might stay the entire trip at this ranch.
And then is that where we're going to do the? You're going to do the God helmet?
Yeah, I don't know I'm doing that at yet because we're going to the haunted house too, or the haunted museum.
Right.
That's I'm still debating the sporting the God's helmet. It'll make for a good video.
I'll tell you, I mean, it's going to make for a great video and some laughs down the line. But
yeah,
sometimes it's really, really good. Paul had a great experience, and I knew it. And that I was on fire your episode of that, and I literally felt the family. I felt it. I couldn't even describe it. And then there are people that don't have great experiences because it does reveal things to you, and it's unnerving. It
might even make you see things that you don't want other people to know, right?
Well, that's the problem with psychics. Like, you don't want them to know what you do, but they don't necessarily go deep into some of the crap that you've done. They're not sitting there, with the other psychics. Yeah, so I had a client; they masturbate 7 times a day.
Oh,
No, they're not.
You sound like Sandra on that one.
But it's. I've actually gone to. I always like testing psychics. Tarot readers.
Yeah.
I've scared the crap out of 2 of them, and they said, we're not reading you. And they knew it. They knew, because I know what they're doing. I don't like when people take advantage of people. And when I walked up, I want a reading, and they're like, no. I'm like, why not? I have my money's good. They're like, please go, please go. You could see it in their eyes. They were just scared of me for whatever reason.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that with you, Sir Brian. Thank you, Andrew. I'm kidding, of course. Thank you, Sir Brian. Well,
thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Andrew. Also, really quickly before we take off, thanks to Kelly Sanderford, Dave Scott, Andrew for your awesome super chats and contributions. Always appreciated. Never expected. Hit the like button on your way out. Helps promote the algorithms, of course. Yep. Dave, if you're still listening, I'm rooting for them. Oilers, my friend. That's my new team since my Red Wings are pathetic. We were a championship team for many, many years.
Yes, you were.
And now we are just floundering. I hate to say this about the captain, Steve Yzerman. He's our GM. The man's got to go. He put together the Panthers, for God's sakes.
Well, you know what? I mean, look at what they did with the Knicks. They fired a coach that brought them there after 25 years.
I've seen
and I'm friends with the Greer brothers, Andy and Larry, who are Nick assistant coaches and stuff. They got fired, and they brought back Van Gundy. I mean, I don't know who these GM are, but most of them need to go. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, well, we have Van Gundy with the Pistons. Well, finally, we have 3 good sports teams finally back. We got the first place Tigers. I think they might go to the World Series, or at least win the American League. We got, of course, the mighty Lions. Who got a hell of a schedule this year. It's gonna be tough. We're not going 15-2. I'll take 11-6 and make the playoffs.
One of my friends is Chuck Mersini.
Yeah,
and he played in the Ice Bowl. He played for Vince Lombardi and whatever, older gentleman. He's a great guy. I do being in New York. I'm a hockey guy primarily.
Yeah.
Growing up,
or
Rangers.
Islander?
No, no.
Come
The
on.
Gordon Fishermen, no.
I think the last time the Islanders were good is when they had Mike Bossy.
Well, that was a while ago, but
Yeah.
and they were a dynasty, but no, I'm a Ranger guy, full and full. I mean, like since it was black and white TV, the little one, the antenna, yeah, before they started charging you for this stuff. So I love the team, and it's I did a shirt. The Rangers make me drink, because they do. I mean, it's so frustrating being with this team. I do, if I'm watching football, I will support the Jets and the Giants, even though whatever.
Yeah.
But there are other teams, there's alternative teams. Like I really do like Tampa Bay, only because they have a freaking pirate ship in their end zone.
Oh,
and I'm like, how could you not like
cannons?
that?
They got the cannons. Armed they are the new sponsor for BMR.
Yeah,
Tampa
we got to
Bay,
get.
fuck you,
That
man.
would be great. One of my friends is best friends with the owner of Tampa Bay, and if I could figure this out and arrange it, it would be kind of cool to do a live BMR on that pirate ship, and then fire the guns. If we can get this done, I mean, I'll figure it out.
That would be awesome. That'd be fantastic.
That would be pretty damn cool.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
Yeah, and then you'd be in Florida and be nice and warm.
Yeah, I do love Florida. I haven't been there in about 4 years, but yeah, Florida's cool. Last time I was in Florida, I was in Miami. Well, actually, I was going on a cruise, so I stayed.
You left out of Miami,
huh?
Yeah, you left out of Miami or Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I did. It was Miami, and I stayed at the Miami Hilton, I think it was. And me and my buddy made a mistake of just going out venturing, and we kind of went in the wrong part of Miami.
Oh, there's a lot of wrong parts. Yeah. I remember being in Miami long time ago, really long time ago.
Yeah,
and we were hanging out by South Beach, right in front of the building that they used to film Scarface when they're and it just another leg, huh?
Yeah.
And it was for sale, and I'm like,
another leg?
Oh, great place, yeah, another leg now.
Another one,
get the yayo. I don't hang out in Miami. I go on I'm going to be on the west coast of Florida quite often. My daughter is going to college out there.
I thought you were on the west coast. I thought you were.
No. I'm on the Palm Beach counties on the east coast.
Oh, Palm Beach is on the east coast. I always
but I'm doing a lot of investigations on the west coast for Bigfoot. We had a lot of interactions out there. I couldn't make it because it was my daughter's graduation, but my buddy Stevie, who I'd love to hook you up with and get him on. He's a great guy. Okay. I did a remote view of the investigation, and everything was spot on. And one of the guys that's with us, this guy Chris, I had both Stevie and Chris on my show. You can go check out the episode.
Yeah.
Chris is a former NYPD, and he did forensics, so he knows collections of evidence and stuff. And Chris is like, "You really believe this stuff?" And Stevie showed him all the texts, and Chris was like, "Holy crap! All that happened." And I'm like, "Yeah, awesome. It's just what I do." But I appreciate you always, and I want to wish everybody in the chat a blessed day. Stay positive. Have a good summer. If you're on the East Coast in the New York area, I'm still predicting an earthquake. So, and I don't want to be here, but I hope I can get my freaking car out.
And my buddies, the Blondes and the Boos, man, just yesterday, Krista was underneath she was at work, underneath her desk as a tornado ripped through there.
Oh, my God.
They've had 123 tornadoes already.
On Cinco de Mayo, I was interviewing another tarot card reader at a gas station right near my house. I saw it. I was getting gas. I saw the low ceiling, the rotation. I said, I go inside. I'm like, dude, you better guys take cover. Go, oh, no, we're getting some rain. I'm like, no, you're getting a tornado. No, it's rain. I'm like, I'm telling you. And a tornado came through. So I called the other half. I would tell her, don't leave the house because it was hailing. And she's crying like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, say hello to Dorothy and the Tin Man for me. The whole passenger driver's side of my car was pockmarked golf ball size hail. They just totaled my car a couple of weeks ago.
No, really? Yeah.
They paid off my loan, so that's all that matters. But it was just that's all that matters. 3 years in advance, so that looks good. But yeah, that was my 5th tornado I've been in.
Yeah, I've never in Michigan, man. I think it has something to do with the Great Lakes. Now we had a tornado in Flint Flint, which is well north of me, earlier this year that took out a Amazon warehouse. However, we get maybe 2 or 3 a year, but they never hit the ground. They're in the sky. They never touch down, is what I'm saying.
That's good.
And I think and I'm not a weatherman or meteorologist, but I must tell you, because everybody else gets them. I think because, and again, I'm just coming up with this. I'm pulling this out of my rear end. I think that the Great Lakes has something to do. I think it protects us. However, we do get the straight 60-mile-an-hour winds off of the Great Lakes, though.
You do, but the water, there's something about the pressure when the wind comes down, it kind of bounces it back in versus the water that absorbs it. So you'll get a water spout, tornado.
Yeah,
I've seen those. These kids go to school in August, like the first week of August in Florida. I would have jumped out of the school building window if I had to go to school in August, Yeah. But as we're driving down, we were getting the remnants of Hurricane Debbie, and we had downpours, flash flooding, and then all of a sudden, as I'm driving down 95, I get there's our tornado in your area, and my oldest daughter is not happy, but my youngest is in the back hyperventilating, and like the sky turned green, and we drove through it. I've driven now officially through 5 tornadoes. I don't know what it is. I don't want to go through any more of them. They suck. You see a 2x4 traveling 60 miles an hour horizontally. That can go.
No, and I've seen some of these authentic videos on either short feed or sometimes I watch a Storm Chaser channel. Just the devastation. It's just scary, and it's just brutal for all those folks, and my head goes out to the people that live there.
Well, that's the problem because Krista's in that zone,
right?
And and so's Brandy, and
Brandy,
they're in that tail end, and patterns are changing now, so it's ramping up in certain areas. It's no joke. Let me tell you something. When you see a tornado and you hear it, it's just evil,
Yes, I'd much rather face up against a dog man than a tornado.
That's kind of interesting. Maybe we had a tornado down in Florida after the last hurricane. If that storm moved 50 miles south, it would have ripped through my house. Yeah. But it didn't rip through my house. It ripped through like a mile away from my house, which unfortunately for those people. And they were alligators that were caught in the spin and flying like talk about scary shit. Not only is a tornado coming, but a flying alligator. Yeah. So forget Sharknado. And I know the guy that wrote that's Thunder 11. His parents and my parents went to school together. So this was like Gatornado. I don't need this.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to be. I seriously can't wait to be down there in Richmond.
Yeah,
down in there, and we're gonna have some fun.
Like I said earlier, I'm not going to wish away my summer because June and August are prime months. I love it. September is warm too, but that's okay. I'm ready for football in September, so I could care less as long as it's nice and mild. So, but anyways, yes, it'll be a great time. I can't wait to meet you and a few of our people in the chat room that are our followers and such. So that's gonna be a fantastic time. And so I appreciate you. And what you got next Wednesday? You got anything interesting going on for your show?
I'm believe I'm bringing in one of the blondes, and next Wednesday's the 11th, right? So I have Lynn Monet coming on, my friend, omnipresent, and I actually helped her with a remote view, and I love Lynn. But when I remote viewed her case and helping her out, she initially was like telling me like really, he's telling me this, like she thought it was BS, and I described everything, and she's like, how the hell do you do that? And I'm like, so it should be fun. And then I think I have coming up, I got Brent on, we're doing something, and I got Kristen and Brandy coming on, which I'm dying to have them on, and I'm dying to have all you guys on, and maybe we'll do something in the summer like August. We'll get everybody on from the conference.
Yeah,
And we'll just promote the shit out of it.
A little panel show and talk about whatever.
We'll just go.
A lot of fun.
Everybody have panel of people.
Yeah, that'd be great. Those are always fun shows when you do those panels. Yeah. And everybody subscribe to Bryan Bowden. It's at Sir Bryan Bowden on YouTube. The link is pinned here. So go check him out.
I appreciate that. Thank you again.
Yep, every Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the East. So check out Bryan. And if you're new, subscribe to me, the girls, Blondes and Booze and Tex, and everybody else. Thanks to Dave Scott. Check him out on Spaced Out Radio. And a good friend of mine. And subscribe to Dave if not already. I know a lot of you probably have. With that being said, I got to take care of these guys. Got to see what they're doing out there. I always have some sort of work going on, and I always schedule it on Thursday. It seems like it's the only day that I'm home, except for the 2 hours I do the show. You know how that goes. So.
Yeah, no, I know.
We make it happen. We just make it happen.
Yeah. I got a whole apartment I got to paint, but I bought a sprayer, so hopefully that'll cut it down.
BMR don't do painting, man.
It's you know what? It just makes it I'm been back in New York shitty, and I can't stand it. And I want to get back to the free state of Florida or down south, though. Anywhere like I love South Carolina, but one day I'm going to come to Michigan and say hi.
Yeah, good. I'm going down. I'll see you down there in Florida too. I would maybe do some fishing out there. I don't know. I haven't been in such about 5 years, like I said. I really went on that cruise, and I saw the bad part of Miami, which I'm lucky to be here today doing the show, to be honest.
Yeah, my buddy went fishing. He likes deep sea fishing.
Yeah.
And they caught a bale of weed, and they had to call it in. Yeah. Floating on the water.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of that floats up on shore, too.
There's a lot of that stuff that happens. Yeah, 100%.
You know,
and back in the day, though, it would have been like, just circle around a little bit. We'll smoke some of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't drink and I don't do drugs.
Yeah.
I'm always driving. But when I get to the conference, I will be having a couple of drinks.
Yeah, once a year is fine, I guess, for the right cause.
We'll do the karaoke thing.
Yeah, they're gonna do. Yeah, we'll see what we got going on.
Let's ask the audience, what's the over under that Donnie Cho is going to do something from K-pop?
Donnie Cho and his K-pop. He does. Go check out Donnie as well. He's got a cool show.
Yep. Thanks again, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for coming on in. Thank you. Hit that like button on your way out there to help promote the shows and all that good stuff.
Yes.
For Bryan, I'm Rob, BMR, and we will see you. Check out the Blondes and Booze tonight, Thursday night. Dave had a great show. I forgot who's coming on tonight, but it's going to be fantastic as usual. So see you guys all later. All right.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.